Well, there we go. I'm officially an idiot. I didn't copy the audio sources. Hello, everybody. 1 second. OBS is being, I think the word is it's being a git. Copy. There we go. There, yeah, we try and be clever and it bites us every time, but now we are sorted and we are back. Hope you're all well and welcome to the Hop Pole Studios podcast. There we go.
Indeed. Hello.
There is sound
G'day.
coming through, I can tell. G'day, everybody. So, as you can see, we've got new branding. We've got new... I've got a new microphone. It's red. And it's very, very nice. And we've also got a new intro screen. And we've subtly changed the name. This is now the Hot Pole Studios podcast. Yes.
Right.
Explain.
What happened then? I can hear background stuff. Is that on your computer?
Yeah, I was trying to open the Twitch stream so I can mod that if anyone chats. And I forgot I'm sending my audio through my my speakers.
Liam replying in Vulcan there. Gadao. Yes, it's been a very, very, very busy week for me. How about you?
Yeah, pretty busy.
Good.
I mean, too bad.
Yes, I've filmed and released the 2 Notes Capture X video. That's now out for everyone to see. I've just finished editing a video for Sontronics and some of their microphones, which I really like. This is a Sontronics mic, by the way. This is their Podcaster Pro. They do a black one if you're not into bling, and they do a red one if you want something that really sticks out. And it sounds really good, I think. And it weighs about half what the previous mic was, which was a Rode pod mic. It's that loud. I had to turn off the signal boost that I was using with that and the SM7B because it just thunders through, which is great. And yeah, it sounds like this with pretty much no work. So that's what you want. I've also learned how to do video editing properly on an iPad. Like properly.
Okay.
There's a program called LumaFusion. So I'm going to be editing vlogs and stuff doing that so I can chill out on the sofa or be in bed and edit stuff that's not, the premium content, as it were. Probably the wrong word to use there, but you know what I mean. It's kind of the stuff that's like vlogs and stuff where I've been throwing a GoPro around. People want to see it, but the editing style is quite different. So I can kind of get away with it. Under my desk, I've had to send off the Capture X. That has now gone to somebody else because that's kind of that unit is making its way through the press. So that got picked up today. That's going to be with somebody else tomorrow. And under my desk now, I've got the old Capture 8 and Cab M set up instead. I just made some new presets for the Capture X and Cab M to go to 2 Notes. They're making kind of a, I don't like the word, but a celebrity kind of preset pack. So I'm gonna have a few presets in there, which is kind of cool. And a couple of my cabs are on the Capture X by default. So I built the presets around that, which means that if you buy the Capture X, you can use the things as I would use them with presets that'll come with it. So yes. What's up? Yeah. Scott's saying he quits because Liam's replaced him.
We don't have the chat overlay either.
Oh, no, we do not. I can fix that very quickly. I'm probably going to do it wrong.
Marty, we got rid of the HPPPPPPPP logo, replaced it with just a cleaner Hot Pole Studios one. No real reason other than we wanted to try and keep the branding the same. It was something we did that was fun about a year ago when we were changing it from the Hopcast to something that would be weekly with me and Adam. And we decided this week we'd go back to something a bit cleaner. And there's a pole position podcast now that there wasn't a year ago, which is F1 related. So we decided we'll just be Hot Wheels Studios podcast because that's what we are.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't really change anything, but it makes more sense to people who don't know us, I guess, which is good. Yeah, I was whistling the Inspector Gadget theme. Yeah, it was massive in the UK as well. Yeah, go Gadget, whatever. And yes, I did, David, see Warren's review of the AEA Endfire Ribbon, which was really, really nice. We talked to the guys at AEA. It's hard to say really quickly. AEA. You end up sounding like you're from Liverpool. AEA. But we talked to them at NAMM, and I will catch up with them and talk about getting one of those for demo, because that was a fantastic mic. It looked a bit like an SM7B and that kind of big fat black thing, but it's a ribbon. And that's really interesting to do it that way around. So, yes. What else have I done this week? Oh, yeah. I put Glenn Fricker in touch with Paul from Zilla. So that's happening now. Yes. That's going to be fun. And
cool.
Yeah, Zilla is sending me 2 new cabs to play with as well, which should be with me rather soon.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, over the years, we've become really quite good friends with the guys from Zilla. And it turns out I did a bit of thinking, and the first Zilla cab I got was 7 years ago. So
really, that's when was that the blue one?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so I've been a fan for a while. It's not as if I've suddenly gone, oh, who are these people? So yeah, now I've got that one, Fat Boy, a 1x15 Fat Boy, a Fat Baby, the vertical 4x12. I had a bass cab for a while, but now I'm going to have another bass cab, a bass Fat Boy, and I've got a 4x12 traditional, and I'm now going to have essentially a monitor wedge, but the monitor wedge is a guitar cabinet. So,
cool.
Yeah. We've been planning this since about January, but it's just been the slowest thing ever because Zilla moved to the far end of the country to get away from everything. And the plan worked a little too well. They are now away from everything. So, yeah, I'll be going to see them hopefully later in the year when the whole quarantine situation has finished and blown over and sorted. I'm going to go and say hello, but they are about 7 hours drive from here, so yeah, you can't get much further away than where they are. They're kind of at the tip of Cornwall, so
yeah, that's a bit of a
it's a long walk. That. Yeah. Marty's looking at a rainbow coloured keyboard. Oh, like an RGB one. Set it up to look like a Pro Tools professional. It's funny that nothing quite says, I don't really know what I'm doing, like a kind of a primary school keyboard with all the keys in different colours that are like, this is record, this is play and stop.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you don't have one of those, do you?
Well,
oh no, that's just RGB. That's RGB's cool. I mean the actual ones that have got like literal printing on them of like this is record and this is play and stop and that kind of thing.
Because I do actually have set up so that like when I'm playing Dota, the keys change to group different things in Dota and stuff.
Yeah, that's just colour. That's a dememoir. That's kind of nice. But I don't know. I've just got back into playing MechWarrior, and there's so many buttons for that. It's beautiful. It's like a flight simulator, but in a giant robot. And there's so many buttons. Oh, it's beautiful.
I think I installed that actually.
Yeah, I got MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries from the Epic Game Store, which I know I loathe the Epic Game Store, but it was a necessary evil.
Loads of free stuff.
Yeah.
I've been playing Minecraft Dungeons.
Really? Wow.
It's awesome. It's a game you can play with just your mouse pretty much, so you can just sit there and zone out.
Play with your mouth? Oh, mouse.
Mouse.
There's a bit of a softening off on the the transmission there. I was thinking, play Minecraft entirely with your mouth? That's a whole different game.
You probably could with the right controller.
Yeah. But hello, everybody in chat. Yes, it's been a hell of a week. I have not stopped. I've edited 3 full videos. Did a live stream last night as well. Monday was my birthday. And I'm now officially old. And then...
You are?
Yes. Celebrated by going on a diet. Which is what you do when you get old. You're like, hooray, I'm old. Time to lose a bit of weight now. Not that I'm particularly overweight, but the last 2 months of being fairly sedentary and stuck in the house and eating lots has made me a slightly different shape than when we started. So I made
snap.
I made the push. I made the push to eat more meat.
I'm gonna say it worked. It worked for me for the wedding, and then when I stopped doing it after the wedding, the weight came back on again. So
yeah. It's what it is.
You just gotta stick to it. It's quite easy to stick to.
Yeah.
You just gotta...
I mean, I'm not gonna be strict about it. I'm just gonna generally follow the guidelines of just cut carbs and that kind of thing. I don't have a specific goal with it. I'm just trying to not get any worse, if you know what I mean. Because especially being sat at home, it was all too easy to go to the cupboard and just get a pack of biscuits and then look down and all the biscuits have gone. And yeah, doing that once you can get away with it, but doing it 3 or 4 times a week, maybe not. So
see, that's always my problem. You get away with it once and you go, hey, this hasn't made a difference. I've not put any weight on. So you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you stop checking.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a month later, you've put weight on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. So I mean, I'm not holding myself to some really strict regimen because I don't tend to do well with that. If with me it's if you must do this, then it's like no. I do tend to reject self-authority in that way. It's a bit weird, but yeah.
But the thing is, on keto, you can have like a plate of meat and cheese, and it's fine.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of cheese. Makes it a bit difficult.
You don't like cheese? What?
Not particularly.
Who are you?
I mean, I don't mind a bit, but I don't really do milk either. It messes my voice up, and it kind of makes me have a really acidic throat. So I just kind of went off it a few years ago and haven't really gone back to it. So I'm not strict about that either. I'm not strict about anything. Hell, but yeah. Oh,
anyway,
the cherry rum. That's a good point. I don't have my cherry rum with me. Damn. For my birthday, I got a bottle of cherry rum, which is beautiful. But if I just have one over ice, that'll sort me right out. Because it's not as if I drink much anyway. He says with the last several live streams being with a beer or 2. But yes, old speckled hen flavoured water. Yes. Behringer will soon release a diet plan. Yes, I believe so.
It'll be just like one from a long time ago, but just slightly more updated.
Yes. Now, let's have a look at what's been in the news, because there's been quite a bit's happened this week. The news! I heard that softly.
That's quite quiet, yeah.
It is.
Try it again.
One more time.
For the news!
The news!
There we go. That's better.
All right, here we go. I do need to put my nice kind of flashy transition over the top of this, but that can wait till next week. For anyone who's not kind of cottoned on, there's a whole new design. I was putting the design into OBS at exactly 8 o'clock, going, I'm running out of time. So, yeah, there's the little details like not having any sound at the start of the stream and that kind of thing. Well, tell me more about that course. Well, Scott, we'll tell you more about that course, seeing as though you asked. The Ultimate Reaper Guide. This is now going to be a little banner at the top for this section of the show. If anybody watching this is new to the show, welcome, welcome, welcome. And
hello.
If you were not aware, of course, a lot of people seem to know me now as someone who works in Reaper a lot. And
the Reaper Guy.
Yeah, that's kind of how I have become known. And so with Warren Hewitt and Pro Mix Academy, which is kind of a sister company to Produce Like a Pro, we've released the Ultimate Reaper Guide, which is a massive, many-hour-long, super in-depth course about how to get to grips with my favorite workstation. I think it's the most efficient, fastest system that is out there. And so if you're interested in that, check that out. It's not on sale right this second, but it will be very, very, very soon. So keep your eyes peeled. In the meantime, if anybody is interested, there is a different course that is on sale, which is a very different thing. Instead of, there it is. I'm going to find the link just off the camera here. That one? Nope, that's not the one.
Listen. Yeah, if anyone was seeing hearing an echo, I think it was my speakers a bit too loud. I think Adam was coming out on my speakers. Yeah, it was me.
Come on, there it is. That's the one. There we go. There's this course called Guitar Tone Mastery by Chernobyl Studios. The link is in the description of this video. And Scott, who is currently in the chat, and it was him that prompted me to talk about this in the first place, his course has really changed the way that I work with virtual guitars, because he has a system that works every time, whereas I've always kind of felt through sounds and kind of I'll generally get a guitar tone and then kind of sculpt it. I do quite often find myself being a bit hit and miss, and sometimes end up spending far longer trying to get that sound than I really should. And Scott's course, he spent many, many years working with not only some great guitar tones, but some really awful, like brutal, disgusting metal tones, and getting them to sit really well in a mix. And so he's really dialed in that kind of thing. And right now, this is on sale, and there is a link in the description. So check that out. Now, onto the news. The news. If you own a classic Orange Stomp box from the 60s, Orange themselves want to hear from you. I thought this was really interesting. Because Orange has kind of changed hands in terms of a business many, many times over the years, I'm imagining that when they've moved buildings, they've sold out of some of these classic pedals and just not kept any of them for whatever reason, business reasons, that kind of thing. They're now looking to do reissue of a lot of these classic pedals, but it's proving difficult to find them. And so what they want, they have the schematics. They have the original on paper blueprint schematics to make them, but they want to get in contact with people that have some of these pedals to compare them when they build a reissue and see what the differences are, whether there's any components that have changed or, anything where they built them and actually changed what it originally said on the schematic for reasons. Again, it was the 70s. I don't think a lot of this was kept nearly so nice and neatly. I mean, this was, and this isn't an exaggeration. In the 60s, Orange was a company just run by a bunch of hippies. They just kind of said, yeah, man, to pretty much everything. And then just kind of did the next thing and did the next thing. Compared to some other companies like Roland and Boss, who were always very fastidious and very organized. To use a stereotype, kind of typically Japanese business. Japanese business was always straight down the line, clean cut, formal, everything. I believe Orange was not that. So, yeah. Like, the quote is that they found some old tea-stained schematics. So, yeah, they probably found them in an old drawer with loads of, rings on them where someone had put their brew down on these classic schematics and gone, oh, yeah, I like these. Maybe we should make these again. So...
That's really cool.
Yeah. If anybody knows anyone who has one of these, get in contact with Orange. They might thank you in some special Orange way. Who knows? So yeah, check that out. Next up, this one I thought was really funky. Telefunken, who used to be the main dealer for all the classic Neumann mics and have made some very, very nice mics themselves over the years, now have an online custom shop configurator for their M80 and M81 mics. Very nice microphones indeed. Handheld kind of live performance mics. But you can change them to be like gold finish or silver finish or pink, or you can change the colour of the grill to be several colours, that kind of thing. I thought this was a nice kind of thing that you can do it online, and I've been looking on the custom shop to see what the prices are. They're not cheap, but the basic colour and price was $249 for the basic mic. I mean, it's not the cheapest for a handheld mic, but if you add some of the finishes on, if you make it a properly gold head basket or copper, that's an extra $50 to do that. That must be a relatively expensive finish. And if you make it copper body as well, I mean, I really like the look of that as a performance mic, but that then becomes $379. That's a lot of money for a handheld mic, but I mean, if there's a specific style that you want, I mean, that's disgusting, but if that's your thing, I mean, live, what do you have that makes you stand out from the next person? I like stuff like this. Yeah. It's that extra little thing that's in front of you as the singer for the entire show. And so, I don't know, if you had three of you singing across the front, I mean, maybe just keep it simple with the grill, but maybe if you had like guitarist had a red body, singer had a green body, bass player had a blue, I don't know, whatever. That's the kind of thing that stands out to people. So, and these are really good microphones as well. They have really tight pickup patterns. I've heard them in action. They're very crisp and clear. So, you know, if you're looking to spend a bit of money, yeah, a pink, yeah. Let's not order one that looks like that, eh? Moving on. So, from microphones to something that you would plug a microphone into. I thought this was the Hotshot, but this is the Hotshot 48 volt. I thought this was a very useful new tool from Radial. It's a pedal that goes next to your foot, so generally for live performance, but you can use it in any situation, where it will power a phantom-powered mic, and the AB switches two different outputs for that microphone. Now, I can think of a few different reasons that you might use this live. One was if you don't want to do anything like MIDI switching or anything, you could have one clean channel, or you could switch it to be like really affected or really distorted or something live, going out of a different output. And I thought that was kind of cool to just have that on one button then to just change that. Alternatively, the other thing that I thought was a lot of bands that use in-ears only now. If you're using in-ears on a big stage, there's no real way to communicate with the rest of the band. What you can do with this is you could switch from your main channel, which goes out front of house, to a B channel that only comes out of everybody's in-ears. So you can talk to the band live and just tell them like, hey, you're out of tune. Then just use your foot to click back, and then suddenly you can do all your vocals again. And nobody apart from the people on stage is going to have any clue that happened. And because it's got a big green light and a big red light, it's kind of hard to get it wrong, because that's something I've always liked about Radial, is they build things with live performance in mind. That, yeah, instead of having just two LEDs, a left one and a right one or something like that, when it's dark and you're busy and you're playing and rocking out, how are you going to tell which one's which? Whereas if one's green and one's red, you know, it makes it so much more obvious. Yeah. The little things make a lot of difference. Now, I'm imagining this isn't going to be cheap. No, it's not. €280 for one of these. That is not cheap. But Radial stuff, generally speaking, does not break. So, I mean, if you're in a relatively big touring band, so you've got a budget and a need for something like this is the kind of equipment where you're going to buy one once. And generally speaking, I've never actually heard any stories of radial equipment breaking on tour. That's, there aren't many companies I can say that about, really. I mean, some of the radial stuff, I mean, I've heard better sounding equipment sometimes, but usually you pay more and it's not nearly as tough. Like, I've got a radial reamp box down here and I'm looking at kind of upgrading my to a different company, which will happen in the future. But this thing, I could throw this at a wall. The wall would come off worse. And it'll just carry on working as if nothing ever happened. So, yes, radial stuff good. Now, from nice clear sound to specifically crap sound. Audio.
Specifically crap.
Yeah. Audio thing make a plugin called Speakers, which has like classic telephones and really rubbish old microphones and that kind of stuff as emulations in there. So the idea being that you can make a really nice microphone suddenly sound like crap, but in a very specific way. Like you can make audio. How do you make audio sound like it's coming out of a telephone? The old cliches, you use a couple of EQs and make it kind of sound like that. But that only kind of sounds like that. What if you can actually have like a model of a telephone? I mean, especially if you work in film, this could be really useful.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
But even if not, I mean, some of the old like Lomo mics and stuff like that, with the old carbon button microphones, you can sound like you're coming out of the 30s. Oh, apparently it's even got a Game Boy speaker, stuff like that. And it's $59 at the moment. It's on sale as well. So if this is the kind of thing that interests you as a particular crapifier, if you will.
A crapifier.
Yes, some people just need a crapifier. I wonder if it's got a model of one of those old kids microphones that does a horrible echo thing. You know, the kind of the kids, the magic microphone or whatever it was. Do you remember those?
Or a speak and spell.
Yeah.
Speak and spell speaker.
Yeah. So, from that to Fender and Squier, there is now a range called the Paranormal range. I thought these were pretty cool because they all look absolutely, completely normal, and then you blink and you look again and you go, wait, no, hang on. There's things like this pink Duo Sonic with a Stratocaster pick guard on it, and it just feels a bit wrong. But if you're one of those people who always like playing a Mustang or a Duo Sonic and that kind of thing, and you're like, oh, actually, but I like the sound of Stratocaster pickups, there's an option. Or there's like a early 1950s kind of precision bass, kind of jazz bass, which again just looks weird to me. Then there's this disgusting thing called the Paranormal Supersonic.
See, it's that one that kind of looks a bit like a ghost that I feel like they've kind of got the name from. That kind of looks like a ghost waving.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, there's offset Telecasters, so kind of like if you combined a Tele and a Jaguar, you'd get that, and if you cut a hole out the middle and put a 7th string on, you'd pretty much get Liam's guitar.
Yeah, I was going to say, mine was a Strat and a Jag Stang.
Yeah.
But then with a horn on it.
Yeah, just because.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, there's a thin line Cabronita, which I quite like. Oh, there's also a baritone Cabronita, which is really starting to push some weird boundaries. Yes, as Al says in chat, hit the like button. Lake Placid Blue.
Indeed, like.
But from good news from Fender to something that's altogether less good, unfortunately, Master Builder John Cruz has been let go from Fender. Apparently, he was putting out some very unsavory posts on Facebook with everything that went on last week.
Right. Okay.
And
There's been quite a lot of that in big companies.
yeah, and that's it. That you are not free from repercussion of things like that.
Nope.
And so Fender don't want to speak specifically about why, but they're very clear that he's no longer employed at Fender. He's been removed from their master builders on the webpage. They've made a very decisive cutting out. Yeah. So, yeah. You can't go around making horrible jokes and pasting horrible stuff and not expect consequences, especially if you're in a position where you represent a big company.
Yep.
I mean, there's also...
I don't know what happened, don't know much about it, but if he's done something bad, then yeah.
Yeah. There was also a big backlash with Full Tone Pedals. Their main guy, I think his name is Mike Fuller from Full Tone. He put up some very unsavory stuff and basically, as far as I'm aware, a large amount of the guitar pedal community has basically turned their back on him and sold all their equipment and won't buy from him again, and nasty stuff.
Indeed.
Yes. So, let's not dwell on that too long. Joyo, who makes some lovely little amps. I really do wish I had one of these when I was 14 because they're really cool. It's not much bigger than one of these. It's like a little lunchbox, and it's just a head. You have to have a cabinet as well, but it'll absolutely blow your face off. And they call them the Bantamp. And this is the new one. The Bantamp XL has 2 full channels in it now because that wasn't an option before. Basically, each one of these Bantamps had a sound. There was like a clean one, then there was a crunchy one, and now with the Jackman 2, it's got 2 full channels. Yeah, and it's got Bluetooth as well, just to be silly and add something extra. So if you were to have, say, a little guitar cab, but then a full range cab as well, you could plug this into a full range cab and connect your phone via Bluetooth and use it as a 20-watt power amp to play stuff off your phone. Because why not? Because
why not?
That's how Chinese manufacturers seem to think. Is you go, well, a guitar speaker's never going to give you good sound, and they go, I don't care, I'm going to give you Bluetooth. And you're like, didn't need it, but okay. And this whole thing is $179 US, including the foot switch, which goes clean in overdrive. I've seen Glenn demo not this, but like the older single channel version through a cheap guitar cabinet, and it sounded fairly decent. And then when he played it through a really nice guitar cabinet, it actually sounded surprisingly good. So if you're a young guitarist starting out who needs some actual volume to gig with, you could do worse than getting something like one of these and a cheap cabinet, and then at some point in the future buy a better cabinet, and then at some point in the far future, if you're still doing it, then upgrade the head. It's a very, very affordable entry point. Entry points are really important. So, yes, onto something that's not from gearnews.com. Two Notes, our friends at Two Notes, have updated the Torpedo Wall of Sound. It's now a new version, and it's not just a small like security update or anything like that. There are new features in there. It's version 4.3.10, and I've not actually updated yet because I only found this out a few hours ago, but I will be updating probably tomorrow. But if you update now, you'll get a 50% off voucher code. So all the cabinets and stuff, you'll get 50% off. So well worth getting.
I hear there's some pretty good cabinets in there somewhere.
Yeah, I hear there's some guys called what are they called, Bob Dole Doofios or something like that make some cabs.
Some sort of like classic vintage British cabs in there, isn't there?
Yeah. Thinking all the nice handmade. You can hear the handmadeness in the cabs. It's beautiful. So yes, that is out now. If you've been wanting to get some of our cabinets from the Two Note store for Wall of Sound, a Wall of Sound, by the way, is free but you get a 30-day trial, and the way that you keep it is you buy a cabinet, just one, just a cabinet, and then the whole thing's yours, which I always thought was a bit weird, but it works, and that's how I ended up using Wall of Sound all the time. I was a cheapskate when I first started using it. I think I was using Wall of Sound 2 or an early version of Wall of Sound 3, and I bought a single cabinet, and then I just used that cabinet to death, and then bought a couple more and a couple more. And
if you were using it on the trial, Adam, and then you felt that you needed to buy just one cab in order to keep it, which cab would you recommend?
Good question. Right now, I would recommend something like the Big Beast, which is a Zilla 4x12. And it's still my favourite cab, even though it's the only Zilla cab that I have that wasn't custom made for me. Maybe I don't know what I want. But yeah, it's the straight down the line traditional 4x12. It's all vintage 30s. That sound has kind of been done, but in many ways it's like the ideal version of that, and it just works for me really well. So anyway,
and it's another great way to support the studio if you so wish, whilst also getting something out for yourself.
It is indeed, and would also help our friends over at Two Notes. So it's win-win-win. It's like win-win with extra win.
Are the cabs still on like a pack on their website when you go to products?
Yes, indeed. There are several. In fact, let's just look on the store.twonotes.com, which is loading up now. So there are lots and lots and lots of packs. So right now they're doing a big sale on the Mesa stuff, which is quite understandable. Packs. Virtual cabinet pack. Because the packs that you can buy from the store, there are many of them that are ours. And we're part of the official Cab M pack, which is always nice. There's a lot of Celestian ones. I'm probably due to make a new pack. Oh, here we go. So I've got my Bright and Dark bass pack. Progressive metal pack's one of my favourites, which is €39 at the moment without that 50% voucher, which you could use to get 50% off that. I genuinely have to look through here because I've made so many packs with Two Notes. There's the Hot Pole Studio pack. That's the one. So that's got most of my favourite cabs in there. And then there's
the want to sound like you're recording in our studio, buy this pack.
Yes. Then there's the Hot Pole Essentials pack, Hot Pole Vintage Modern pack, which has got some really weird and wonderful stuff in there, and the Hot Pole Bass pack. So lots and lots of packs. Because the packs are cheaper than the individual cabs as well. That's why it's worth mentioning them. The G20 and D20 from Rev also use the Two Note stuff. I should be able to get those to test. Yes, indeed. I'll be talking to Rev soon and seeing if I can make that work, because that would be cool. The G20 is the one I want. It's a high gain head that doesn't need a cab at all, has the Two Note stuff inbuilt, and you can use my cabs just in the head. Very, very cool indeed. Now, let's not dwell on that. We don't want to become QVC.
Yeah, we do.
Well, yeah, we do, but no, we don't. But we do. But wait, there's more. And last but not least, unfortunately, I couldn't find anything for Behringer Corner this week. They've been worryingly, suspiciously silent, which means there's probably going to be a lot more Behringer news next week, because that's how it works, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, there will.
Hopefully.
There absolutely will.
My week isn't fulfilled without Behringer Corner.
Behringer Corner. Well, if anybody wants to quickly try and search for Behringer news, I had a look before and didn't find anything from this week. But if you find anything, drop it in chat and we will read it out. So, yes.
We should just go to the Behringer Twitter page and just read out one of their tweets if there's no Behringer news.
That's not a bad idea, actually. Twitter.com/
Behringer Twitter. Oh, it's got an S on it.
Behringer. We're both on it. Behringer. Da, 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 da.
They're doing a live webinar on how to calibrate your studio monitors like a pro.
Oh, right. Yes, of course. They are.
That was a week ago, though.
Oh, they were.
13 hours ago.
Here's something.
The Music Tribe community will be in maintenance mode starting today until Saturday the 13th. There you go. There's some Behringer news.
That's why there's been no news. They've literally turned off a lot of the website because Community 2.0 is coming around the Behringer corner.
Hey!
Hey. But yeah, interesting.
Oh.
That was weird, but okay.
There we go. Fat
That's better. But yeah, the calibration mic looks suspiciously like the one that came with SonarWorks. I wonder if SonarWorks are buying them wholesale. That's neither here nor there, because what SonarWorks do is, no matter who they're getting their measurement mics off, they measure each one and actually give it a unique profile and a serial number, so that when you put that into the SonarWorks software, it knows and compensates for it. So even if that was the case, I mean, that's the difference between just a measurement mic and a properly calibrated, measured measurement mic. Because, I mean, you can get completely flat measurement mics from Earthworks, but you're talking $3 or $4 grand per mic. A lot of measurement mics are not nearly that flat because microphone capsules, it's quite hard to do that. So what they do is they kind of have these slight bumps and that kind of thing, and they just measure the microphone and go, well, there's a bump here, there's a dip here. And then when you do measurement software, it just compensates for that and does the opposite, which is clever. But yeah, Earthworks do some pretty good mics. They do some, well, obviously they do that kind of really expensive reference mic. We used to have at Huddersfield University, when I was a student there, quite a few of their measurement mics, because we'd be doing things like measuring reverb times for PhDs and master's degrees and that kind of crazy, like, academic level stuff. But for most of us, when we're just kind of measuring how much of a dip is there in my room, you don't need that grade of stuff. But yeah, so anyway, last news article of the week. Eventide have been making their H9 pedal sounds as a plug-in series, and now they've just released the Crystals, which is always one of my favourite sounds. It's kind of hard to describe. It's one of those, well, it's a reverb that's got loads of weird high pitch shifting stuff and reverse in it, and yeah, but we're talking like late 80s, early 90s twinkly octave reverb, and it just sounds weird. And Crystals is a good way of describing it, because it sounds kind of like if someone had a really cheap chandelier, and if you just kind of stroke your hand through it, you know, that twinkle, twinkle, twinkle kind of thing, where it's not very in tune with anything. Just kind of sounds cool. Let's just see if this comes through the stream. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, so that kind of thing. So it's $9.99. So if you like that kind of sound, oh no, sorry. So the PC version,
the iOS version.
Yeah, the PC version is currently $39 and is normally $99. Why do they price gouge us on desktop for what is essentially the same thing as on mobile? Never understood that. I can understand why some things cost more than other things. That's not what I'm saying, but why would the same software, but just compiled for different targets, cost 10 times as much on one platform?
Well, will they not have removed some elements of it, or it will be slightly less high fidelity or something?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, iOS is now incredibly powerful. The ARM processors are all 64-bit.
I was going to say power, but
I
don't think that it would be a power issue.
On this iPad right here, I am literally editing a vlog right now with multi-layered video, 600% speed increase on some of the stuff, and that kind of mad. You can add LUTs in this, for God's sake, and it doesn't even care. If you can do that, you can do a little bit of plug-in stuff on iOS now, because like I say, these devices are just so powerful compared to what we were used to even 4 or 5 years ago, that it's just, I mean, the only difference is when plug-in manufacturers make stuff like this now, they don't make it for a particular platform. They make it for a kind of a middleman. They'll how to describe it? It's like making a game for the Unreal Engine. You don't make it for Mac or PC anymore. You make it for the engine. I mean, it might take some very small tweaks to make it work properly on each platform that it's going to, but generally speaking, there are a few platforms. Juice is one of the main platforms. There are a few others that audio developers will work in, where when you're done, you just hit compile, and it makes you all these VST versions and Pro Tools versions and iOS versions for different iOS and Mac and Windows. And that side of development is easier than it ever used to be, because it used to be that you would have to hand code for every platform. And oh my word, I've seen developers' hair fall out from stuff like that. I used to be very good friends at uni with a guy who was a plugin developer, but this was like 2007, 2008, and the kind of stress that they would go through, because they'd get this really clever plugin, and then it'd be working as like a 32-bit VST, and then the people who he was trying to sell it through would be like, great, now make it work on Mac, and make it work for Pro Tools, and make it work for this and this and this, and then we might sell it. And yeah, the amount of stress that caused was ridiculous. Now, if you're working in a framework like Juice, you just go, okay, click. There you go. And you get some beta testers to test for bugs and that kind of thing, but compared to the actual writing of the plugin 5 times or 7 times or whatever it was, completely different.
Yeah, things happen like that in coding in a lot of areas. Similar things you can do for iOS and Android and stuff. So
yeah,
yes, it is very, very, very clever.
Clever indeed. And yeah, even though like ARM processors are completely different to x86 and x64 processors, when you're on a common framework like that, it's just loading in different modules and just go. It works. Yeah. So that is the last article for this week. Now
it's time for the news.
The news. And look like Benny and Crossroads. So order now, get it a fortnight later. Oh, with Amazon. Oh god, yeah, because Marty in chat, he's getting a whole new laptop, and oh boy, good luck with that. But yes, now is a good time for questions in the chat. If anybody's got any questions for us to discuss, now's a good time. And so I will leave that in the capable hands of everybody in the chat. Oh,
it's been a little bit quiet today for questions.
Yes.
I don't notice any. Nice chill, daddy or chips.
Well, considering I'm not eating chips right now because I'm on this diet, and also my little girl can now go dada, so yeah, daddy.
Yeah, my dad was my joint best man at the wedding along with Adam, so I'll pick my dad as well.
Yeah. My dad's pretty
cool as well. I think we're going to have to try Zoom next week rather than Discord, because like my camera's really fuzzy.
Yeah. Yeah, Zoom seemed kind of cool. I've only used it for group conversations because it's very good at that. But yeah, we'll definitely check that out.
Just the quality, because I'm looking at my camera on my computer and it's like,
yeah,
nothing like what's on stream.
Tell you what really surprised me is last week we had Glenn on the stream and we used Skype, and the Skype quality used to be absolute garbage. and for whatever reason, it was just crisp. I was not expecting that, but we'd been having some audio issues with Discord. 'Cause Discord is quite famously fickle with audio setups at the moment. But yeah, Glenn just called me on Skype and it just kind of worked. So then I thought, okay, right, we'll roll with it. It'll be blocky. It won't be great video, but you know what? We'll be fine. And about 20 minutes in, I'm looking at him going, your camera's sharper than mine. And mine's plugged in by USB. What's going on? Hello. Okay. How do you load Steven Slate 5 drums into Reaper? Well, you install it and you make sure that the VST plugin went in the right folder. And if it didn't, in Reaper's preferences, you can tell it where those DLL files are. Then press the button that says rescan. That's it. If in doubt of anything like that, contact the support of the company that you are having trouble with. Yes. I have heard that's another thing. Pro Tools first. Pro Tools first, the kind of free Pro Tools. Users are, if they've not used their accounts in a while, losing access to their cloud account. So if you had 2 or 3 projects that were on the cloud, they wrapped it up as some sort of over efficiency or tidying the server or something like that. What they actually mean is, well, we're just going to delete your stuff. Thanks, Avid.
Wow.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah, I have learned that since I originally made my Pro Tools first video, which was late 2018, early 2019, now you can store projects locally. So that's a big improvement. But I would do that rather than ever using the cloud stuff, because things like this happen. Like I use Dropbox as my cloud thing a lot, but I pretty much have everything backed up on multiple hard drives as well, because it's useful. Cloud stuff cannot be trusted because it's not your direct control. If the company says, okay, we're deleting your stuff now, you can go, excuse me, but they go, terms of service, don't care, click. And yeah, they own you and your stuff. So Avid is legally obligated to keep backups? Probably not. I mean, it's general data protection stuff. They can say, oh, this is older than a certain amount of time. Pro Tools First is free as well, so they can just go, nah, click. What do I put tape plugin on the most, and why? Depends. There isn't really a most for me. The why is the more important. I use tape plugins when I think that a certain something needs a subtle fattening up, because what tape tends to do is it tends to soften top end a little bit and saturates it, not just like an EQ, and it also kind of cuts ultra sub bass a bit and gives a bit of a push around the 100 hertz kind of region. You might have heard of tape having what's called the head bump, which is that it's just kind of a bass bump. So if the whole mix needs a bit of glue and a bit of fatness, then I'll drop it on that. Sometimes I'll just do it on the drums, or quite often on the bass actually, because bass can quite often have some super sub stuff, which you listen to it on massive speakers and you go, this is really cool, but then you listen to it in a mix and you go, where did the bass go? So you put a tape on it, and suddenly some of that sub is just softened off a bit, but that slightly higher up bass that's in the kind of real kind of chest thumping region is just nudged up a little bit, and not in the same way that an EQ would be. It's much more subtle, and sometimes subtle's the key. So yes. tape is all about subtlety for me, and just the right tape in the right place can make all the difference in the world. Mr. Freeman. Someone was talking recently about an anniversary of Half-Life, and I was just like, wow. Why did I change from grey to red? Oh, right. So if you missed the very start of the... you might have actually missed the start because I didn't have the sound turned on. This is a completely different mic brand to this. This is a Rode Pod mic, and this is my new favourite. This is the Podcaster Pro from Sontronics. This one is made in the UK. This one is about £100, so roughly the same cost as an SM58. It's big and red. It sounds like this. It weighs half as much as the Rode, which means that my boom arm that it's on isn't straining and bending, which is great. It's also a lot louder as well. I don't need a cloud lifter or a boost or anything on this one, where I was quite lucky that my Arturia interface here has an inbuilt boost, so I was basically cloud lifting this. They are available in black, these. So if you want a black one, you can get a black one, but I just wanted the one that really stands out. And so far, and I'm going to play this back and compare it to the other podcasts, but so far I think I'm really impressed with the sound of this. And if that sticks, then I'll see if I can get hold of a second one to have permanently attached to the Studio A desk. Because if we're going to do more live streaming stuff, which is definitely the plan, from Studio A, then it'd be nice to have a consistency. And also represent some of our friends who hand make mics in the UK, because that's an important thing, you know. They're nice. They're more than nice people. They're really good people at Sontronics. I mean, how many companies will send someone a microphone with a handwritten note from the marketing director? It's like, dear Adam, and enjoy. It's pretty cool. And they've done that for me as well, not because, I'm not somebody famous or anything daft like that. I've talked to Sontronics over the years, and any time I've ever asked them for anything like that, they've always been great. I mean, I borrowed a Halo microphone, and that's one of those really cool, like, 40s looking ones that was meant to do a review on, and I had it for, and I'm kind of ashamed to say this, but I had it for about a year. And they were always just like, yeah, okay, cool. And that's good, people, because if it was me, I would have been like, what are you doing? Speaking of which, the video for that is now ready and will be available to patrons tomorrow. And then we'll go out on Saturday. So, yes, I'm looking forward to getting that one out for you all. And then this video for this one's going to come out the week after. I've also got a video coming out, which I've just edited, about some DI boxes, which are downstairs, which have come all the way from Latvia. And one of them's made with gold traces and silver solder and really nice Nishikon capacitors and stuff. Very, very cool stuff.
Very cool.
Yes. I opened it up and it was just like, ooh, very, very expensive looking. Personally, I preferred the sound of one of the other ones, but, personal preference is a funny thing. But that also confirmed to me that I didn't like the expensive one because it was expensive. I liked one of the other ones because the design made it sound a way that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. They're a good company. They make good stuff. But, I mean, if you're the kind of person who is like, I want to spend money on the best DI box I will ever buy, they can do that for you. But also, if you're like me and you're like, I want one that's not that expensive but sounds big and fat, they're like, oh, we do this one. Have that. Yes. So, any more questions? Any more? It is rather quiet this week, which is probably partly my fault because I've been running around like an absolute dingus this week and forgot to put like 12 hours ahead a notification that we were going to go live, which I will definitely be doing in the future. Also, I've been talking to a few people about getting more special guests on the show, which is very exciting, and there are a lot of possibilities that are going to be coming up. Paul from Zilla has said he is absolutely going to come on the show. It's just a question of which week we can get him on now. We've just had Glenn. I'm hoping to get Alex Nasler on from Gear Gods. He's really cool and has become kind of a cool friend. And so he's now just started his own YouTube channel. And from there are others who I've asked, and it's not confirmed yet. So I'm not going to say too many names just in case they don't happen. But those two are pretty much going to happen soon. So we're going to have to make a third version of this that's got space for 3 of us.
We do.
Yes.
Oh, it depends. It depends how cool they are. Because I mean, as I said last time when Glenn was here, I was like, "Look, I'll just produce tonight because everyone just wants to listen to you two nerds talk. No one wants to hear from me in those situations." And I can. The other thing I thought is that we could even do it kind of like radio shows where I could be on the call, but I don't necessarily need to be on camera, and I can just shout at you when you're waffling on too long.
Yeah.
like the producer in the other room.
Oh, have you ever watched K-Rock and come on, Shock Jock? What's his name? The one that everybody knows. I'm having a mind blank. Big hair, really annoying.
Yes,
been a radio host for like 30 years.
Howard Stern.
Howard Stern, thank you. I just had a complete mind blank. Most of his shows now do have a video element to them. But there's always a person who's kind of in the background. So when they've got a special guest on, it's Howard plus special guest, and there's somebody in the back who every now and again basically just says, "Yeah." It's like the radio version of a hype man.
Yeah, that could be me. Just here with the soundboard, just being like, for the sad moments and for the happy moments, and yeah, that could be me. I mean, we need to figure out if there's a way. I mean, I suppose I could always run the stream, but like, so you don't have to worry about stuff, so that I could do all the techie stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
also an option as well.
We could do it either way. I just, for whatever reason, I've just always done it this way round. But either way works for me.
I've got enough screens to be able to run it. So
You
I mean,
certainly do.
Like, we're at like
bitrate.
Yeah, bitrate. Can't say anything. But I've actually just redone my room. I've got my
again.
You can see it because of the bitrate. Giant Captain America shield and stuff.
So hold the camera still for a second. It might clear up.
Yeah, can't whatever.
And Discord gets funny sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, we definitely need to try something different.
Yeah,
it's definitely not my internet because my internet's fast. So we'll sort it out for next week.
Absolutely.
I'm fed up with being a block.
Yes, it probably just is Discord being weird because now it's fine again.
Yeah, it's when there's like lots of movement. I was doing it before. So while you were talking, I was trying to just like wobble my head.
Yeah, it's definitely a bitrate issue because as soon as you still, then it's just classic compression. Talking of classic compression, I have been a real nerd this week and have been compressing my old footage, like you do. But you might think, well, what's the point? If anybody's heard of H.265, H.264, some of you may be aware of. Oh, Liam's gone all weird. He's just gone for it. Liam will be right back. H.264 is the kind of the MP4 file format that pretty much everybody uses now.
There you go.
And
I have a Lego Liam. Someone said, sorry to interrupt, but they're saying I'm going to be a Lego Liam. There already is one. I need to hold him still for a minute so you can see him. There you go.
Hey.
Lego Liam. There's a Lego Adam downstairs as well.
Yeah, with the long hair and everything. I think it had long hair before I did.
But it just looked like you. Sorry, I interrupted.
The yellow skin and square head. Yeah. So H.265 is kind of the new deal that you can get really, really small files with really, really high quality. And you can have 10-bit as well, which is important because all the footage that we film is all 10-bit, which means that it's got loads of nice colors in so that I can edit and make it brighter, darker, more colorful, whatever. And it always looks nice. But the camera that I am using, the Blackmagic 4K camera, it's a great camera. But when you film in its format, which is ProRes, it eats file size. And the Reaper course, which we were talking about, which is this one, the Ultimate Reaper Guide, available now, was 2 terabytes of footage, which is a lot of footage. And I was running 3 cameras, so I could do like really cool multi-camera stuff. Turns out I didn't use it half the time, but it was there and it made for nice edits and stuff. But I decided now the course is out and it's out there. I don't want to delete the footage, but I don't want to keep 2 terabytes of this really high file size stuff. So I compressed it down to H.265, and the whole thing went from 2,000 gigabytes, 2 terabytes, to 33 gigabytes.
This is ridiculous.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. The downside now is if I try and go back and edit it, the CPU will just melt. Because it's so well compressed, it takes a lot of CPU to decompress it. But this is where the last couple of months come in, because Premiere, which is what I use, now can use the graphics card to decode and encode H.264 and H.265. So everything just flies now. And I mean, it's still like, it absolutely tries to burn a hole in my desk whenever I hit play, but you know, it plays back, which only a few years back, if I'd tried to play that kind of footage back, it would have been like a slideshow, just and yeah, now it kind of works. So if I ever need to go back to old projects and old footage, which recently I found myself doing quite a bit because I've been referencing older videos in newer videos, and then you go to the final export of a video and you realize that you've got all these graphics laid over the top of stuff, which you don't really want when you're talking about, you know, an old thing. And you think, oh, well, I'll just go back and open the old project up. Yeah, cool. So that's why, without any exaggeration, this is a hard drive of stuff. That was a 4 terabyte hard drive. This is a 5 terabyte hard drive. This is an 8 terabyte hard drive, which I took to NAMM, which is why I wrote Hot Pole Studios on it. I've got another 2 4 terabyte hard drives here, and there's another one over there as well. So you end up with this, which that's what happens when you do high quality video, ladies and gentlemen. Half your budget goes on flipping hard drives.
Yeah.
But no longer.
I've got...
So, yeah.
I've got a whole drawer there of hard drives, but it's too heavy to pick up. I've got all the hard drives from downstairs in one thing. I think there's about 20 in there.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? But yeah, any ProRes footage that we've got now, we can just set Handbrake to just squish things down. And yeah, so I found out that you can now upload H.265 to YouTube. So I'm going to be starting doing that because in the same bit rate as I would have used for H.264, I get more quality. So rather than making smaller files, I can just make higher quality files. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Just because it looks even nicer, so why not? But also, this means that I don't need to spend lots and lots and lots of money on archive hard drives. And that means that I can afford to have these same hard drives and split the data so I can have more multiple copies in different locations without breaking the bank by buying a ton new. It's not taking any longer to export. No, this is the thing. The video that I did today, which was the DI box one, it's a 30-minute video. It's quite extensive talking about DI boxes. I mean, it's me. Come on, but it's 4K H.265. And it's all fully graded and all that kind of stuff. And the export took 15 minutes. And I've only got a GTX 1060 in here. I've got a nice 6-core processor, sure, but the graphics card's taking a lot of the work. And it's not as if I've got like a 2080 Ti or anything. And it still just chugged along. If I had a 1070 or a 2070, it would have gone even faster because I checked out the stats and it was 100% on the GPU. But the CPU wasn't far behind. It seemed to be a fairly even match. So, yeah. But even computers that we had a few years ago and the way that Premiere was back then, that would have been a 2.5-hour export easy. If not more for that. But yeah, that's how far the software's come to match the hardware. It's fascinating.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I was saying, what's the best way to render multiple stems? That's the way he's put it. It's all in caps, which you can't quite, because it auto caps is on the chat here. If we're talking about using Reaper, you just kind of control-click on the channels that you want, and then when you go to render, you change the output from master mix to stems. That's about it. They make it so simple compared to something like Pro Tools. So simple. That's one of the reasons why I use Reaper over Pro Tools, was even way back 10 years ago, and yes, I've been using Reaper that long, the features that it had, which was so obvious to me, were things like that. And things like being able to fade in and fade out audio without having to render that section of a file just to have a fade. Because Pro Tools, genuinely, that's what you used to have to do in Pro Tools. If you wanted fades, you had to render your fades in.
I can even do fades in Photoshop in audio.
Yeah. Although evidently that's not working. But
Yay!
Yeah, if anybody heard the intro music stop suddenly at the start of this, that's because of that. But yeah, like Audacity can do it without rendering, you know. But Love Reaper, but the tracks or stems are all the same length as the longest track. I don't know what you mean.
He's saying that when he exports his stems, that all the audio files are the same length.
That's right, because change it from rendering entire project in render to rendering time selection. Then drag your left mouse across a highlighted section so that then it will only render out that bit. I do that a lot because I always get annoyed.
Yeah, because if it didn't do that, then if you tried to put the files into another project, you'd have to try and sync them all without having any references.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So that's why it does it that way, so that you can put it in another project and then just cut out the white space afterwards.
Yeah, it creates a bit of extra file size, but generally speaking, it's good for organization. I remember distinctly that Logic used to not do that, and if you rendered a load of stems, as soon as the audio finished on a track, it would just stop. Which sounds nice, because you think, oh, that's the end of that. But then if there was anything like a reverb tail or anything like that on that track, Logic didn't care. It would just cut it. It'd just be like, oh, there's no more audio. Done. What? Stop this. Stop this madness.
Okay, so what if you just want to kind of Premiere has a version of this in terms of like cleaning up projects. What if what you've got now is all you want? You don't want any other takes or the recordings, and you just want to kind of render out all the bits that you've got. So you've just got one folder with all your live tracks and a Reaper project file. Can you do that?
Yes, that's called consolidate. Same as in
Yeah,
Reaper,
that's what it's
actually.
called in
Yeah,
Premiere.
yeah. It's Premiere.
In
Sorry,
Premiere,
yeah.
sorry, yeah.
Same as Premiere. There is a consolidate option where you can lock down takes and just re-render out files so that yeah. Oh,
So,
there's a PlayStation
PS5
5 announcement happening right now.
It's the 11th, is it today? Yeah,
It is.
Today, yeah.
It's happening right now. And actually, we've been
should go
live
and
for an
let
hour
people do that.
15. So, yeah, it's probably a good time for us to say goodnight and then go watch the PS5 announcement. So, I'm going to put
Oh,
this...
guess what I've got coming tomorrow?
PS5?
No. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, yes. Well, let me know next week in the podcast how much further you've got than me. And we'll talk.
I don't know. Yeah, me and Ash decided we had some money to spend, so we bought Animal Crossing and that so that we can play them together.
I'm never going to see
So
either
far,
of you again.
so far I've made a camp and that's it. It's a bit of it's the end of the show. Bit of a crap game though in a way. If you have two people on one Switch, the first person that plays it does 90% of the game because you've only got one island. I was a bit disappointed by that.
It's not designed to share. It's
but it is as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun. So it's my job now to play mostly Final Fantasy and ruin it for half.
Yeah, it's you're gonna have a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you next week, 8 p.m. UK time. If not before then, good night from the inaugural Hot Pole Studios podcast, episode 56.
And bye from Rogue. Rogie says bye.
Bye, Rogue.
See you later.
Bye.